Hey, hi and welcome back. Now let's start with this video, which is Introduction to Layout Editor Part 1. So now let me tell you what you will learn in this video. Now, as I told you, like schematic editor, there are a lot of tools in the layout editor. So out of all those tools, we are actually going to cover some tools in this video. So what are those tools? Let me show you that now. So these are basically the tools that we are going to cover in this video, which is info, show, then group, move, mirror, rotate and copy. So you might have observed that these tools we also discussed in case of schematic editor. So they are going to have the similar functionality in case of layout editor also. Okay. So I will walk you through all these tools step by step and we will see how exactly we need to use these tools in the layout editor. So that's how we are going to cover this video. Now let's start with this video. So in order to explain the different tools which are actually available on layout editor, I have taken some components on this schematic editor, and using these all components I am going to explain you the different tools which are actually available on layout editor. Okay. Here actually I have created a random schematic. Okay, this is not appropriate schematic, just a random schematic to explain you the different tools which are actually available on layout editor. Now here, in order to create the layout for this schematic, I'm going to click on this option, and here it's going to ask me whether you want to create the layout editor for this schematic. Okay, so I'm just going to click on yes, and after that this board file or this layout editor will actually open. Okay, so this layout editor is now open, and you can see here all these components. These are actually the footprints. So all these footprints are here now available. Now let me explain you all these tools which are available on this layout editor with the help of all these footprints or all these components. Okay. Now here if you observe this toolbar which is available on this layout editor, you will find that some of the tools are actually similar to the tools that we saw in this schematic editor. Okay, like info, show, group, move, mirror. So all these tools are actually again available on this layout editor. So I will quickly walk you through all these tools, and later we will discuss some important tools which are actually dedicated for the layout editor. So the first tool is info, and if I click on this info option, and if I click on any of the IC, so I'm just going to click left click of my mouse on this plus icon, and if I do so, then you can see we are going to get this properties tab, and in this properties tab we are going to get all the information related to this particular IC, like footprint, then 3D package, then to which library this particular IC belongs, then what's the value or the name of this IC, then all the attributes related to this IC, like what's the package, manufacturer number, manufacturer part number, what's the name of manufacturer. So all this information we are going to get related to this IC when we use this particular option. Okay, info option. So that was the info option. The next option is show option. Now in this layout editor, you know, there will be different components. At this moment there are actually not much component. So for example, let's say that if you want to check what are the pins or what are the different components which are connected to this particular pin of this IC. So what I will do, I will select this option. I will click the left click of mouse on this particular pad, and you can see we are getting these two pads which are actually highlighted here. Okay, it means that this pad or this terminal of this IC is actually connected to these two terminals of this register. In the same way, if you have to check what are the different components which are connected to this particular pin on this layout editor, then straight away you can click on this option, which is show option, then click on that particular pin, and then whatever pins or whatever terminals will be highlighted, those pins or those terminals are actually they will be connected to this particular pin. After that, another usage of this show option is, for example, if you want to see a particular component from the schematic in this layout editor, then again you can do that. So in that case, what you have to do, first of all, you have to select the show option in layout editor, then you have to select this show option in schematic editor. And for example, let's say you want to see where this particular register R1 is placed in this layout editor. Then what you will do, you will left click on this register, and you will see that particular register will actually highlighted in this layout editor. Now you will have a question like, here I can directly check or I can see that this register R1 is placed here. So why I have to use this particular option? Now, as I told you, right now there are actually not much components on our schematic editor, right? So there will be some situations or there will be some applications where there will be hundreds of components, okay? So in that case, if you have to look for a particular component in the layout editor, then this particular option, show option, is actually very helpful. So straight away you can select a specific component. You have to left click on the center pin or this plus icon on this particular IC, and once you select that, then that particular IC will be highlighted in the schematic editor. Along with that, it will be highlighted in the layout editor, okay? And in this way you can actually navigate, or you can check where that particular IC is placed, okay? So that's how this show option is helpful. Then the next option is group option, and again you already know this particular option. With this option we can actually create a group of components, okay? For example, if I have to create the group of these 3 registers, then what I will do, I will left click of mouse and I will hold it and I will drag over all these 3 registers, and then I will release the button, okay? Left click of mouse, and you can see these 3 registers are actually now highlighted. It means that these 3 registers are basically part of one group, and I can perform a desired operation on these 3 registers, okay? So that's how we can create the group of different components. So you just have to hold the left click and you have to drag that square over all the components, and then you have to release the left click, and then it will form a group, okay? So that's how we actually create the group with the help of this option. The next option is move option. So if I select this option, and if I have to place a particular component inside this layout, then what I will do, I will left click on that particular component, and then that particular component will actually stuck to the pointer, and now you can place that component wherever you want or at a desired location in this layout editor. So let me place this IC555 at this location. So for that I am just going to click the left click, and I will and then automatically that particular component will be released, okay? So in the same way you can place all these registers here. So first of all, let me create the group of all these registers, and after that I will click on move, and I will right click of mouse, I will press the right click, and after that left click of mouse, okay? So then I can place all these registers wherever I want in this entire layout, okay? So I will click on left click of mouse, and then this is how basically we can place all the register or the group of register. Then the next option is mirror. So basically the purpose of this option is to place a component on the bottom layer. So right now all the components that you see here, they are actually on the top layer. So let me just maximize this. So right now all the components that you see, they are actually on the top layer. So what I will do, I will click on this manufacturing, and in this window you will be able to see that all the components are actually on the top layer. So this manufacturing window, or this window actually gives you the brief idea about how exactly your PCB is going to look like before you send that PCB to the manufacturing house. So it's going to show you the dummy PCB, okay? And here if you see, this is actually, we have selected the top side of the PCB, and you can see all the registers, and this IC is actually available on the top side, okay? So right now all the components are actually on the top layer. Now if I select this mirror option, okay, and if I left click on any of the component, then you will see that particular component is actually not on the top layer. And then where that particular component is, it is actually on the bottom layer, okay? So you can see this is basically the IC on the bottom layer, okay? So whenever you have to change the layer, or whenever you have to place a particular component from the top layer to bottom layer, then straight away you have to select this option, mirror option, okay? And after that you have to whichever component you want to place on the bottom layer, so just left click on the plus icon, and then that particular component will be placed on the bottom layer, okay? So if I have to place this register on the bottom layer, then again I will click the left click of mouse, and after that I will click on manufacturing window. So you can see all the 3 components are actually on the bottom layer now, okay? So that's how basically this mirror option is helpful. So whatever component that you will see on the in the blue color, all those components are actually on the bottom layer, and all the components that you will see in the red color, they are actually on the top layer. So I hope that this point is now clear. Then the next option is mirror option, rotate option. So once I select this option, for example, if I have to rotate a particular component, then I'm just going to click the left click on this plus icon. So this way I can actually rotate that particular component. Okay, so this is how basically you can rotate the component. You just have to keep clicking the left click of mouse and it will keep rotating. And another way to rotate this particular option, rotate the component is, for example, if you want to move this IC from this position to another position, then we will select this move option, left click of mouse, and now I can place wherever I want, right? Now if I have to rotate this IC in the air or in the midway, then I can just right click of mouse and this way I can actually rotate this particular IC. Okay, so that's how we can rotate the IC. And if I have to place it let's say here, then I will just click on left click of mouse. And after that, so that's how basically this rotate option is helpful. After that, the next option is copy option. So I will select this option and now let's see what happens when I try to copy. So I will just copy this IC. So you can see the IC is now stuck to my pointer. And if I left click of mouse and if I try to place this IC on this board, then you can see what I'm getting. Can't back annotate this operation. Please do this in the schematic editor. So what exactly that means? It means that if you want to copy a particular component on this layout editor, then you can directly copy that particular component. Okay, if you want to bring that component on the layout editor, then you have to do those changes in the schematic editor. So I will copy this IC, and if I place this IC here, then you can see automatically that particular IC will appear here. Okay, so this is how basically if you want two ICs, then this is how actually the process is. Okay, straight away you can't copy that particular IC and you can place here. Otherwise you are going to get this error, can't back annotate this operation. Please do this in the schematic. Okay, so whatever changes you have to do, you can only do that in the schematic editor. You can do that in the layout editor. Okay, so if I delete this IC, then you can see automatically that particular IC will actually delete from the layout editor as well. Okay, so I will left click and delete. Alright, so that was all about the copy option. And then the next option is paste option. But this particular option is actually not that important. So I'm going to skip this particular option. And that's what I wanted to tell in this video. And I hope that every single thing that we discussed in this video is now clear to you. And if you still have any kind of doubt regarding the tools that we discussed in this video, let me know. Okay. Alright, so now I will see you in the next video, which is Introduction to Layout Editor Part 2.